Ooh, the gym. My old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, fly fishing guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah. Try it sometime.
I may be retired, but I still have finances to manage. With direct deposit and automatic payments, ICCU makes it easy to spend less time banking and more time baking.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Welcome on into a Wednesday edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com, coming to you from the Cutwater Studios. More than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. Make sure you pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. It's a Lithia, Florida, Boise. We got John Mallory. You hear him weekdays, 3 to 6, KTIK, 95.3 FM, The Ticket, our partnership with KTIK. You get to hear Johnny on Wednesdays on our show as part of our different rotating hosts each day, and always look forward to hearing from Johnny, and excited to have you on, man. How we doing?
I'm doing well, man. Good morning, BJ. The storylines just don't end with this program. Plenty of stuff to talk about. I know your viewership has been record numbers with everything that's going on with this football team, and ready to help out in any way I can today, bud.
We've also added 23 paid subscribers since Andy Avalos was fired. So folks are wanting to pay and join the site and read Mike Prater's columns and read my articles. So we still have that $50 special going, $50 for a full year. Your first year, $50 using the promo code BNN50 deal. It's going there across the bottom of the screen. We'd love to have you jump on board with a subscription as we continue to follow this coaching search and this team and this basketball team as we move forward here in what should be, Johnny, just when you factor in what the basketball team has coming up with a road game, a quad one game at Clemson, coming up on Sunday. Then they go to one of the premier tournaments in America in the ESPN Invitational. 6 of the 8 teams were in the NCAA tournament last year. That's a loaded field. And then you come back and play St. Mary's. I mean, the next 5 games are just incredibly hard for Boise State basketball, and they're going to be exciting and can't miss. And then you throw in Boise State trying to stay alive for a conference championship these last 2 games down the stretch on the football side. And, a coaching search. These next 3-4 weeks, man, if you're a Boise State fan, are going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, this has got to be the busiest time of the year for you, regardless of a coaching search too, right? Just when football and basketball overlap. And obviously, as you illustrated, the basketball schedule, there's some very interesting games coming up for this basketball program. And then football, obviously, with the win last week, with the help they got on the Mountain West scoreboard for them to get back into the Mountain West Conference Championship game picture. Just a lot going on, man. Wow.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm trying to get as much rest as I can, which is not much these days, because I'm going to pull off the gauntlet. I've been talking about it, Johnny, but going to get down to Logan, Utah, Saturday, 5 o'clock game. Going to cover that game, talk to Spencer Danielson in his first post-game press conference, and then get to the Salt Lake City airport as fast as I can. And I've got a 12:01 a.m. red eye from Salt Lake to Charlotte. Get into Charlotte about 6 o'clock in the morning. It's about a 2-hour drive down to Clemson, South Carolina. Get there about 8:30. Maybe get into my hotel room early if they'll let me, to take a shower and turn around and go to do the pregame show for basketball at courtside there in Clemson. So Bronco Nation News. I got to be the only person, Johnny, in history, right, that's watched a football game on a Saturday night in Logan, Utah, and a basketball game on a Sunday afternoon in Clemson, South Carolina. Like, I can't imagine too many people have done that before.
Probably, man.
Come on, I want. Give me a plaque or something.
On airplanes?
I cannot. No, I'm not even a huge fan of flying, so I will be awake and probably writing my football story and editing stuff and working through the night, and then just roll through it and maybe sleep Sunday after the game. But looking forward to it. Proud that thanks to our subscribers, thanks to our advertisers, that Bronco Nation News is able to do that, and we will be the only local media outlet that'll be making that trip over to Clemson for that game and then down to the tournament. So excited about that. Hoping, fingers crossed, no flight delays. We can get there in time for the Clemson game. But Johnny got a football game first before basketball. And obviously, my son's coming in here.
Naismith or Nelly?
Naismith. Well, this is scary. Say hi to everybody.
Isn't he in school?
Hi.
No,
hey,
no
bub.
school. No school on a Wednesday. I'm not sure why, but you got any? All right. Thanks for coming in, bud. You want to say something? Oh gosh, here we go. Hold on a second, Johnny. What do you got?
What do you need?
It's Dad's birthday.
Whose birthday?
He didn't hear you. Today's my birthday. Thank you, Johnny. Or thank you, Naismith.
Happy birthday, BJ.
Thank
I
you,
didn't
bud.
know that. Congratulations.
Thank
man.
you, bud. The big 3-8 today. Yes. Thanks. Now, thank you, Naismith.
Good stuff.
He's going to be coming to interviews. Their kids are coming to interviews today, too, down at Boise State because my wife's out of town and they have no school. So told my kids they got off for my birthday because it was a holiday, and I was joking with them. And Naismith said, what was that like growing up, always being off school on your birthday? I said, no, it's not how it worked. But anyway, all right. Thanks, Naismith. Get out of here. But back to football. Let's go Spencer Danielson, man. Let's go right now. The last couple of days, just what we've heard, where this team is at. I expect them to just play tremendous. I've heard enough, Johnny. I'm sold. I think this team I would not want to be Utah State on Saturday. And somehow, surprisingly, the line keeps coming down. The line is moving in Utah State's favor for some reason, but based on what I've heard the last couple of days from the coaches and the players and the renewed energy around this team, I would be surprised if Boise State didn't. I really do think Boise State's going to come out and just play really, really well on Saturday.
I've been saying that too. I mean, they're going to play their tail off, as Spencer Danielson would say, right? And Spencer Danielson, I think, is going to fire that up. The only question I would have is, Utah State has a tremendously high-powered offense. They have like 2 receivers on pace for 1,000 yards, another one just behind them. I think they have 2 receivers already that have 10-plus receiving touchdowns and another one that has 5 or 6. They can move the ball through the air, and that's been a bugaboo with this secondary. Hopefully that doesn't rear its ugly face and this turns into some shootout. And as much as Spencer Danielson has these guys hyped up and wanting to play well and win for them, that this defense just becomes or stays this defense, and they can't get off the field on third down. They can't stop the deep pass play. They have been getting more pressure on quarterbacks. Got to shout out Hassanin. He's on pace for a 10-sack season. But overall, I think the morale, yes, they're going to be ready to play. Spencer Danielson's going to have him, and I think Spencer Danielson's going to do a good job, and I think he might put some pressure on Jeremiah Dickey. Where the players are. They all want Spencer Danielson to get this job. That's always how it feels to be, though, when there's an interim. I've never been the guy that wants to keep the interim. I always just say, find somebody else. It feels to me like in the past when schools, NFL or major college, when they do sometimes keep the interim, it goes downhill. Just recently, look at the Seattle. I'm looking up in Seattle when Chris Peterson left abruptly with the Huskies. He basically handed that program to former Boise State assistant Jimmy Lake. The thing went, it went into shambles, Prater, BJ, and they weren't able to recover until they hired Kalen DeBoer. So it's always a tough situation, but I do think Spencer Danielson's going to make it a hard decision because I think he's going to do a good job, BJ. I do.
Shout out Nate Staley. No one else, please do this, but Nate, thank you. He just submitted $10 for a birthday drink on him. So thank you, Nate. Appreciate that. And by the way, I believe this is a imposter, but Leon Paul Rice is in the chat, Johnny, saying Cutwater's on me tonight. So
okay.
If you missed the Degenhart show last night, Johnny, did you catch that at all?
I didn't.
It was a great episode, but we had a lot. The chat was going as much as I have. I think a lot of the former players and our teammates of Tyson were creating fake names and stuff. It was getting fun in there. We had a Lou Major in there with some comments.
That's funny.
It was actually hilarious. We had some good comments, and it was a lot of fun. And now we have a fake Leon Rice that is in the YouTube chat here.
Bring it, fake Leon.
Appreciate. Bronco says. Great show last night. Yes, it was. I really enjoyed it. So thank you to everybody for watching the show last night, for the great viewership. We're approaching record viewership for Johnny Mallory today as well, man. It has been crazy, man, the last couple of weeks, and then it kind of ramped up with the coaching news on Sunday, Johnny. But we're somehow higher up in the Google searches or the YouTube searches. We're showing up on more people's feeds and the analytical things because our viewership has just skyrocketed the last couple of days. And we appreciate all of you. If you're new and just found us out, go down there to the bottom of the screen. I think it's on Johnny's side. There's a little red button that says subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can join the KTIK channels as well if you're watching on KTIK's Facebook or Twitter or YouTube accounts. If you're not, make sure you do that because they're doing their daily video segments on KTIK, and you want to make sure that you sign up for those. Real quick, Anthony says he wants to buy a subscription. How do I do it? Pretty easy. You just go to BroncoNationNews.com and click on the register button up there in the top right corner, BroncoNationNews.com. You click the yearly option. Normally it's $70. You put in our promo code BNN50 deal. It brings it down to $50, and you're eligible to win a lot of great prizes, including, Johnny, we announced this last week, the VIP basketball experience. You can win a trip for two on a private jet, the BNN private jet, going down to San Diego for the final regular season game of the season. You get 2 tickets to the game, a night hotel, more included as well. Get to hang out on the beach for a couple of hours. So looking forward to going to San Diego. Thank you to Ridley's Family Markets, Bauscher Real Estate, the Blue and Orange Store, and Cutwater Spirits. You better believe there'll be some Cutwaters consumed on the private jet on the way down. So looking forward to that. And again, you got to be a yearly subscriber to win this contest. So if you're wanting the coaching news, you're wanting all the other stuff going on, we'll have you covered. But as a bonus, if you're a yearly subscriber, you're entered to win this contest here moving forward. So sign up, BroncoNationNews.com. Just click that register tab. All right, let's hear from Michael Callahan, Johnny. He talked to the media yesterday about what his thoughts on things and the Spencer Danielson and the chance that he might become the next head coach. You mentioned Spencer. I want to get into whether or not it's a realistic possibility and if that would be a big enough hire that fans would be happy enough. But let's see if this changes anybody's minds. Here's a clip from Michael Callahan, defensive lineman, on Spencer Danielson.
You can't say enough about that man. He's probably one of the most influential people in my life. He's obviously gonna coach you hard. He's gonna be honest with you. He's a guy that truly cares about each and every one of his players, and he's obviously an intense guy, but we love him and we're super excited to play for him. Yeah, I don't want to go too far in it right now because I know that Jeremiah Dickey has a process to go through, and we respect everything that he does. But guys here love that man, and people here would run through a brick wall for that man. I would do anything for Coach Danielson. I don't want to get too far into it, but I think that he's definitely ready to step into a head coaching role. He's done a great job over the past 2 days of exceeding my expectations. I already knew what kind of a man he was, but he's been unbelievable as a head coaching role, and guys just love that man.
Is that part of maybe for you, the last couple of games here, like to finish strong for him and maybe give him that chance?
Yeah, that would, it's definitely some motivation. Guys, like I said, the team loves Coach Danielson. He's got every single guy in the locker room completely bought in right now into what we're doing. And like I said, we know that our goal is still in front of us. We know that we have an opportunity to flip around the season, and that starts this week against Utah State. But I think that there is a little bit of extra motivation knowing that if we could perform to the standard that we know that we can perform to with him as the head coach, we know that could propel him to an opportunity.
Well, there he is, Michael Callahan. Johnny, your thoughts on what you heard there?
I love Michael Callahan. I mean, that guy's going to be successful in life, whatever he decides to do. Very smart, intelligent young man, good head on his shoulders. And I think he speaks for the team on that. The brick wall analogy that football folks love to use. If a football game was, in fact, running through a brick wall, and it was a contest of what team is more willing to run through a brick wall. If Spencer Danielson's your coach, you're probably going to be undefeated and go to the CFP, right? Sadly, though, that's not how it goes. You still have to dissect. You still have to scheme. You have to game plan. You have to execute. You still have to play football. Hopefully, they're going to do that also at a higher level. Maybe it's because the momentum will kick in. Maybe they'll be more inspired to play a little bit harder for Coach D. I think they play as hard as they can anyway for their own brothers, whether or not they were mad at their coach or not. Spencer Danielson, he's going to put his own spin on it. I don't exactly know what that spin is, but he did say, BJ, in his introductory presser, sure, we're going to do a few things here and there differently. And I like that about Spencer Danielson. Always take notes when you're a coordinator. If and when you get an opportunity to become a head coach, I'm going to do this instead of that. I'm going to do that instead of this. And I think Spencer Danielson will have that going. You don't have to worry about what quarterback is going to be taking the snap. This is all about Taylon Green. Bush Hamden's going to have to work strictly with Taylon Green. I'm confident he'll be able to do that. Taylon Green showed me some things last week in the passing game. I saw him complete passes with confidence and precision that I didn't see him doing as much the other games because he really didn't have the reps. Now he's going to be able to ease into the game. He's not going to have to worry about, well, is this the only play I'm going to get for 10, 20 minutes? It's just going to be his offense. I think that's going to calm things down. I don't expect to see Genty playing in this game, even though he's out there in practice. That to me still seems a little far-fetched. Hopefully they can get him back for the Air Force Black Friday game, but who knows? Maybe Genty is going to play if he's at practice. There's no reports there. I'm just not expecting it, but I still like the George Halani, Breezy Dubar, twosome in the backfield too. I think the offense is operating at a very high level. Look at the last few weeks, BJ. The yardage production, the points are coming with the yardage as well. This is going to be a tough offense for Utah State defensively to stop. Utah State lost, 6 starters from last year's defense, all to the portal, all guys that still had eligibility. So their defense has been decimated this year. They have no NIL collective opportunities in Logan. Coach Anderson's going through a tough time down there. Boise State needs to find a way to win this game, and hopefully Spencer Danielson's the right guy to help them get that done. I think it's going to be fun.
We're talking Spencer Danielson. You're going Taylor Green and all this. That's for later in the show, man. Come on, we're talking Spencer Danielson right now.
Spencer, you get me going, man. Sorry, Spencer Danielson.
That's all right.
I think they're going to play well for him, and I think he's going to make this decision for Jeremiah Dickey a little more difficult. A lot of times there's some pressure to keep the interim going, BJ, and the interim can fire him up. You see what Antonio Pierce is doing with the Raiders. 2-0 there, not exactly who you would think would be head coaching material. He's doing a good job, and obviously Boise knows the Pierce family really well. So Spencer Danielson needs to keep putting that pressure on Jeremiah Dickey. He obviously wants the job, and he needs just to convince Jeremiah Dickey to keep this thing in-house and give him a shot.
Let's hear from one more player, DJ Schramm, team captain, linebacker. Here's DJ Schramm. Michael Callahan was playing the politics a little bit, said Jeremiah Dickey's got a job to do. DJ Schramm said, no, I think Spencer Danielson deserves to be the head coach here. Let's hear from DJ Schramm. And the question asked at the beginning, Johnny, was, how would you describe his coaching style? And his answer is perfect. Here's the beginning of that, DJ Schramm.
That's a good one. I don't know, perfect. He just knows how to communicate with each person individually. That's just what happens when you build such good relationships with people. You're able to connect with them, and you figure out what really drives them. So I'd say that's what makes him so good, is just be able to have those different relationships with each person and build that bond, and guys really respond to that.
I know this search just started, but what would it mean to you to see him get this head coaching job?
It would mean the world. In my opinion, I think he deserves it. He's a great leader, he's a great man, and it goes so beyond football, just the way he leads people in life, and the lessons he teaches, and just how he shows up each day for the guys in that locker room. It's awesome.
Okay, there was DJ Schramm, Johnny, and same thing. Says he should get the job. I mean, again, it was 2 players. It is what it is, but it does sound like there's a little bit of energy, a little bit of enthusiasm now around the team. And we saw Winston Venable back at practice yesterday. Winston Venable hasn't been in a practice in 2 years, and he shows up the first practice after Andy Avalos is fired. There's Winston on the sidelines talking to players again, and it was cool to see him back. He's a buddy of ours, obviously did BNN After Dark last year, but I know that it had been tough times for him. He had been biting his tongue a little bit on some things he may have wanted to say, after it went down that he was no longer with Boise State. I just, kind of presented it without any comment. Just first practice of the post Andy Avalos era. First time in 2 years, there's Winston Venable back watching practice. So you saw Hunter White. You see Hunter White's tweets. He's a former player. He came out and was pretty strong. I've heard a lot of the same things in terms of the plow offense. We've talked about that. I hate it that it is kind of slam dunking on Andy Avalos, because a lot of these folks are now a little more comfortable talking now that he is gone. And let's be clear, Johnny, this notion that the media has been sitting on this and we've known all this for 2 years and didn't want to lose our access, like, that's just not true. You don't lose your access by reporting facts. You don't lose your access by asking a tough question. That's not how it works. It doesn't happen. You saw USC. They tried claim that a procedure or policy wasn't met, and they tried to do that, and then it was so much backlash and embarrassing for them. They had no choice but to change it back. You don't lose your access for reporting that. So it's not like Johnny and I have known all these stories behind the scenes for 2 years and not said anything. I would say in the last couple of weeks, Johnny, you've heard more. I've heard more. Former coaches, former players, as this thing continues to get worse, have started to talk about, things in the locker room and how they were treated and things like that. And then when Andy was gone, obviously folks like Hunter White now not afraid to speak publicly on this, and we'll see who else. We saw Elliot Hoyt with some interesting comments on social media and alluding to some things. And there's a lot of former players now that I think are maybe feeling a little more comfortable. We'll see. But it is what it is. And Spencer Danielson is now the guy, at least for the rest of the season. And Johnny, I want to get your thoughts. We're going to take a quick 90-second time out here to thank our sponsors, but I want to get your thoughts. I mean, how realistic? I mean, you mentioned Spencer Danielson, he wants the gig, but how realistic is that? I mean, does he have any chance to actually get this gig? Would that excite the fan base, or do they need to go to a higher profile, maybe sexy or higher from outside the current coaching staff? We'll do that in 90 seconds. Bronco Nation News. All Bronco Nation News broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU, and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. Johnny, quick shout out, Bronco Brew Coffee. I had a couple people on social media today send out tweets that they were ordering some. We appreciate that. Remember, roasted to order coffee, broncobrew.coffee. And we talk so much about the NIL situation at Boise State. Well, this is an innovative new, idea where essentially you buy a bag of coffee and you get to click which athlete you want, part of the sale to go to. And Markel Reed can get $3 off every bag of coffee that's sold if you choose him as your person. So NIL specialty roasted coffee, supporting Boise State University athletics with every sip. Check them out, support them, support Boise State, broncobrew.coffee. Okay, Johnny, I guess I'll just ask you plain and simple. How realistic is it? What are the chances? Is there any chance Spencer Danielson could actually get this gig?
Well, you hear DJ Schramm and his description. You still have to win games. It's great to hire the guy who makes everybody better men. That's probably a much more valuable trait than being a good X's and O's guy or being able to win games. Unfortunately, that's not this business. You still have to do all of that, mold minds, make boys into men, teach them valuable life lessons. But with all that, at least here in Boise, Idaho, you have to win 10 plus games a year. That's kind of the standard. So Spencer Danielson needs to give Jeremiah Dickey no doubt that he is the right person, and this program is going to go back to being, conference championship contenders every year. Maybe at some point, BJ, you got that new playoff. I feel that conversation feels so far down the road now.
If they win the Mountain West
and whatnot,
if they win the Mountain West, if they somehow sneak into the championship game and win the Mountain West championship this year, do you have to keep Spencer Danielson?
For me, that's the best way Spencer can keep the gig. It's weird, though, for Jeremiah. He was kind of handed the Andy hiring. We all know what went down. He didn't have the full process to find the head football coach. He met with Andy. He liked Andy, obviously. They got along, and he thought, okay, this is a good hire. It's appeasing all the fans. Everybody seems to sign off on this thing. Let's move forward. Andy Avalos. And at the time, you thought, okay, he's climbing the ladder. He's a high-level defensive coordinator at Oregon. They were doing some nice things. He went to the Rose Bowl with Oregon, and you just thought it made sense, and you realized it didn't. I think Jeremiah Dickey needs to go outside of the building on this hire. I think he needs to find, whether it's a guy with head coach experience or someone who's maybe more ready to be a head coach, or he's more confident, Dickey is, that this coach will come in and be able to win and do what he needs done at this program more so than Spencer Danielson. It's almost like, think about that. If Dickey just stays with Spencer, he really then wouldn't have another hire on his own too. He'd just be keeping it in-house. Now, he will interview anyone and everybody. And if he really, truly believes what he say, his head, his heart, and his gut, BJ, that Spencer Danielson is the best move going forward this program, Dickey's going to hire him. It's almost like maybe Dickey wants to hire him. Dickey loves Spencer Danielson. He just needs to be certain that Spencer Danielson is going to win games. They're not going to be 4-5 going into November in this town with people packing the stadium and the light show. Like, they want to be 8-2 at that point, 7-1, 8-1, not 4-5, BJ. So Spencer Danielson, he's got to win games. And I think if he wins the Mountain West Conference Championship, all of a sudden, I think a lot of the fans might hop on board that. There might be some added pressure from Jeremiah. I personally, I would probably look elsewhere. I love Spencer Danielson, but I don't know if he's ready to be this head coach right now. I know he's going to be a head coach at some point. I don't know if he's ready right now.
Yeah, for me, it's who else are the other candidates. I mean, there's a lot of candidates. Spencer Danielson, I would prefer Spencer over them. But how high is Jeremiah willing to look for this search? I mean, if you can get, just throwing it out there, but if you take Kellen Moore over Spencer Danielson, like, I mean, if you can get a guy, a wow hire, if Chris Peterson says, yeah, I'll come back and give you 3 years to turn this thing around, and then I'm just saying, like, if there's some big candidates like that, sure, Ryan Grubb. I mean, a guy that has no ties to Boise State, like a Power 5 coordinator. Like, I mean, is Spencer really that much of a difference from those guys? And all the players want him anyway. Like, if a Sean Lewis, I mean, I don't know. I guess let me know who he's going up against. Who are the other candidates? And then I'll tell you if it should be Spencer Danielson or not. We just don't know. There are better candidates than Spencer Danielson, sure, but there are also worse candidates, in my opinion, a lot. So you did see the betting favorite, betonline.ag yesterday, Johnny. Brian Harsin is the Las Vegas betting favorite right now to be the next coach at Boise State. He has changed his Twitter bio back to a picture of the blue, the 1-0. He has changed it back to football coach. There's some speculation, I think, Johnny, that he would be a perfect fit at San Diego State. I think the fact that Brady Hoke announced his retirement with 2 games left, now that Boise State's job is open, I think is very interesting. Maybe San Diego State wants to try to get Harsin before there's a chance he goes back to Boise State. I don't know. I think Brian Harsin would kill it at San Diego State. I think that would be a awesome spot for him. I think he will coach next year. I think we've reached that point based on reading some of the tea leaves. I would be surprised at this point if he didn't, but any chance Brian Harsin even gets an interview at Boise State?
I would think if Brian Harsin reaches out, yeah, he's going to get an interview. Brian Harsin's a really good football coach. This town knows that. And if he came back, maybe brought the band back together, so to speak, I don't know, Kent Riddle, Mike Sanford, some of those guys he had on staffs before, maybe if they want to get back into coaching and they're not, your boy Brad Bedell,
he loves Harsin, right? He loves Harsin. He would take that job in a second to rejoin that staff.
Right, and you could get that going again, and maybe that would be at this time the best move forward. Brian Harsin's a really talented football coach. I think he'd do well at San Diego too. I think when San Diego State can just find the right guy, I think that could pop a little bit down there. Maybe they'd get 20,000 people in the stands instead of 12 initially, that type of deal. A name I want to keep an eye on, and Will Stein. He's the offensive coordinator at Oregon. This is his first year there. He's doing a tremendous job working for Dan Lanning. The previous few years, he had been at UTSA, and they've been winning a lot of games at San Antonio. Very creative offensively, younger guy. This guy was at Louisville. He actually worked under Mike Sanford Sr. at Louisville when he was a player. Keep an eye on Will Stein. I don't think Ryan Grubb's not touching this gig, dude. Ryan Grubb is going to have a $5 million plus contract in front of him from a Power 5 job. Anybody out there that's like, no, I don't want Ryan Grubb. I completely disagree with that. From people that I talk to, the guy is a genius. He's ready to become a head coach. He has everything it's going to take. He's going to be successful, almost like a Dan Lanning when he was at Georgia. You just knew when that guy got a gig, it was going to work. Ryan Grubb would be, for me, a massive home run. If Jeremiah Dickey could pull that off, that would be sensational. I think it's a pipe dream. Will Stein, if you're looking for the smart, young coordinator who would be interested in this gig, maybe he would, or somebody like that. I do also think there's some merit to saying, hey, I want someone who has been a head coach before. I get that. But, I mean, Dirk Cutter wasn't a head coach before. Chris Peterson wasn't a head coach before. You get a lot of guys. Dan Lanning, a lot of guys get gigs that aren't head coaches before, and they figure it out. They've learned enough in the process that they know exactly what they want to do when they do become a head coach. But if that's what Jeremiah Dickey is interested in, then go for it. I do say this. Once Jeremiah does make this hire, I'm going to support it. I think I'm going to trust what Jeremiah Dickey's going to, with the moves he's going to make. I can't imagine myself saying, really? Dickey hired that guy? What the hell is he doing? I'm going to trust the process with Jeremiah, and I think he's going to find the right person for this gig, BJ, whoever that is.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, all right, we got a little bit of time left, Johnny. I do want to switch this forward to Taylon Green, as you mentioned, this offense, Eric McAllister. We'll switch to Saturday's game at Utah State. We'll do that in 90 seconds here on Bronco Nation News. Bronco Nation News is sponsored by Tommy Ahlquist and Ball Ventures Ahlquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, and industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the valley. Need a developer? Looking for new space? Think BVA. At BVA, we are Idaho's developer. The Nicolason family and SON management have proudly been operating Taco Bell restaurants in and around the Treasure Valley since 1969. One of the first to make a 7-figure donation to the Lyle Smith Society, they've also stepped up their support of Boise State athletics with the Taco Bell men's and women's basketball endowed scholarships. The Nicolason family and SON management have committed at least $310,000 by 2026. Get more information on their financial support of Boise State athletics and find information on applying to work at Taco Bell at TacoBellWorks.com. Lithia Ford of Boise is a proud supporter of Boise State Athletics and the official car and truck of the Broncos. Lithia Ford of Boise supports Bronco student athletes through NIL deals, including providing Ford vehicles to Taylon Green and Riley Smith from the football team and Paige Barsh from the volleyball team. Rain's family purchased our F-150 from Lithia Ford. Couldn't be happier with the purchase. Check out the all-electric F-150 Lightning or the electric Mustang Mach-E at Lithia Ford, and make sure to check out their full inventory of vehicles at LithiaFordBoise.com. The Blue and Orange Store is the perfect spot to get all your gear for your next Bronco game. The Blue and Orange Store has official Nike apparel, including jerseys, shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, and more. Wear what the Broncos wear and get it at the Blue and Orange Store, the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall, or get free shipping on a $40 order online at theblueandorangestore.com. All right, we got the news, Johnny, that Maddox Madsen out for the foreseeable future with an injury. I thought it was kind of noteworthy, too, though, how Spencer Danielson said, we're all about Taylon Green. And I know that was obviously, due partly to the injury, but I think they're also putting some confidence back in him. Like, your QB1, man, he's the guy. I saw at practice yesterday. He threw an unbelievable pass to Prince Strawn. I think Brady Frederick had it on KTVB. He posted it to Twitter. But, I mean, it was a team 11-on-11 period, and Prince Strawn went deep. And I don't know who the DB was, but Taylon Green threw one as perfect as you could throw it right. It reminded me of that pass he threw to McAllister in the game a couple weeks ago. Exact same play, and Prince Strawn, hauled it in. Amazing catch. I think Taylon Green's going to ball out, man. I had said from the beginning, and again, I know it kind of stinks that it happened this way with the Maddox Madsen injury, but now with Maddox Madsen unable to play, Taylon Green doesn't have to look over his shoulder every play, man. This is Taylon Green's offense down the stretch here. He gets a chance to put up some big numbers so he can, wherever he transfers to, he can show them that he is the QB one that they think he can be at other spots. I think Taylon Green is going to ball out. Whatever props you can find on Vegas on passing yards, running yards, touchdowns. Taylon Green, I expect to have some big games here. I think his confidence level is going to be back up. He gets a clear head. I think Bush Hamden and him are going to cook in these couple of games here. And, again, maybe I'm wrong. I'll admit it if I am, but I think Boise State wins easily against Utah State. And I think one of the reasons is Taylon Green is just going to ball out and have a huge game. I'm excited to see Taylon Green as QB1 here moving forward.
I'm just still worried about this defense. I'm worried about this secondary. What this defense doesn't do well, Utah State does really well offensively. Number 2 offense in America. Are they still? I haven't checked the standings or the stats in a couple of days. Last time I was checking, were there 2, 3, or 4 in the country?
We'll check that for you.
In yards per game. I mean, that's kryptonite for this secondary. So I don't want to just say that those problems are evaporating now because they got a coach who can
number
give
22
a hell of a pregame speech. They're what?
Number 22 in total offense.
Okay. Yeah, they slipped a lot. Are you sure? Yards per game?
Total yards per game, 448.3, number 22 in the country.
Okay.
Yep.
22. Sorry, maybe they were 2 or 1 in the Mountain West. I'll have to go back. Sorry, I even threw that stat out there. But they're a decent offense, obviously, BJ. But this is more about pregame speeches. This is more about motivation. This is more about willing to run through a brick wall or to bite a kneecap. This is about execution. This is about eye control, right? This is about discipline. This defense hasn't shown that consistently. So that would worry me that Boise State's going to go into Maverick Stadium and just roll Utah State up. Now to Taylon Green. I think there's a shot Taylon Green stays here, right? If this all works out and they win some games, regardless if they win the Mountain West Championship, but maybe win a bowl game, they stay through that process. Man, I don't know what you're hearing, but maybe there's a shot Taylon Green with Andy gone. He's not going to be looking over his shoulder, and maybe you can keep Taylon Green. Maybe that will help possibly get money to keep Ashton Genty. I wouldn't write all that off right now. I think Genty's gone, but I think you can still save Taylon Green, and maybe that can help Genty at least a little bit if you can get a reasonable amount of money for the kid.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, dude. If Taylon Green transfers, that's coming on December 4th, right? So you're going to have Colt Fulton and CJ Tiller at quarterback in the bowl game.
Your only scholarship quarterbacks. And then you're going to have to...
CJ Tiller, Colt Fulton's a walk-on, but he's a lefty, man. You get a lefty out there throwing like Kellen Moore back in the day. Let's get some Colt Fulton in the bowl game. Come on, man. You saw him on the 2-point conversion. What game was that? No. San Jose State, I think. I've been impressed with some of the limited stuff I've seen from Colt Fulton, and I know he's one of the smartest guys in the quarterback room that we've heard Bush Hamden talk about. But CJ Tiller could maybe be your starting quarterback in the bowl game if Taylon Green transfers, which is why I would get I would have got CJ Tiller some action in that New Mexico game, and I would get him some action in some of these games here.
That was odd. You thought maybe you get Tiller a series and cleanup time, even if he's just handing the ball off just to get him out there, but they kept Taylon in. They wanted to keep him in his rhythm, and that will be interesting if CJ Tiller is starting the bowl game. There's a good chance that happens if Taylon Green does go into the portal. If
Maddox Madsen's hurt, I mean, maybe he's back by the bowl game, but if I don't think people are realizing that. If Maddox Madsen's hurt and Taylon Green's transferring, I don't think Taylon Green's sitting around to play in a bowl game if he's transferring. So I would find a way in these next 2 games to get CJ Tiller at least a couple of snaps at some point. He's now QB2, so he's obviously moved up the ladder, but you have a real possibility where you could go into a bowl game and have CJ Tiller. I mean, what happens if Boise State wins the Mountain West Championship, Johnny, and Taylon Green still decides to transfer? And Boise State's playing in the LA Bowl against some Pac-12 team, and CJ Tiller is starting at quarterback. Like, it's a real possibility, man.
Yeah, and if they win that game with CJ Tiller, Spencer Danielson maybe keeps the gig. Fans are elated about CJ Tiller going into next season. I mean, all these possible storylines pop up from that. I mean, who's to say Tiller won't get in and play well? Sometimes that's all kids need. Like you were talking about Talon at practice. And I've been saying that for years, watching him in practice, the accuracy, the arm strength. You know, I've been watching Talon Green in practice for 3 years. I watched Talon Green throw balls to Khalil Shakir for his pro day. I talked to NFL scouts there, and they were like, who's that kid? They were impressed. And they're, he's a true freshman? He's throwing to Shaq. Like, I remember talking to those guys, but it never, for me, for TG, translated into the game. Yep. And playing quarterback at this level, BJ, it's almost more of a mental exercise than it is a physical exercise. You have to be able to instantly process information and then physically know where to put the ball or this decision to make right on point. You miss it by this much, it's an interception. You miss it by that much, it's a fumble. I mean, there's no margin for error. I mean, I was talking to this about Josh Allen yesterday. Like this is a position where you must be meticulous. And if you're careless, it's magnified tenfold. Yep. And I haven't seen that with TG10 in a game as much as I've seen him drill it in practice. Maybe it's coming. I mean, he didn't really have a chance this year to get in any type of rhythm. But for people out there that just be like, oh, Talon Green just can't throw. He's not a good quarterback. I mean, I can tell from my couch his release point is down here. And he's not a thrower. Like, go to a practice. You won't say that. These kids can throw the ball, but it is way different doing it in a game. And Talon Green needs to work on that part of his game.
Totally agree. As we start to wrap this up here, Johnny, Anthony Kitchen says, thanks. I'll subscribe sometime today. Appreciate it, man. Use that BNN 50 deal promo code, $50 for your first year, and you're eligible for all of our contests and prizes and stuff. And we'd love to have you. But Johnny's asking about an update on Eric McAllister. I was at practice yesterday. Eric McAllister was not out there. After the practice, we talked to a couple of players and asked them, would you be okay and open to Eric McAllister coming back? And both players, I kind of got the sense that whether it was the coaches or the SIDs, it kind of told them what to say if this question came. Both answers were very similar, and it was, we're going to leave that decision up to the coaches. I don't know ultimately if that decision is the coaches. If I'm a coach, I think I need to know from my players if you're going to welcome this guy back or not. I don't think it's worth it. I think what I saw from Prince Strawn, what I saw from Austin Bull, you want guys that want to be here, that want to be with their team, give them those reps, let them start moving towards the future. I think it sends personally a bad message if you take Eric McAllister back for the rest of the season. I know you feel differently about that. Mike Sanford feels differently about that. But if he was going to come back, I think it would have needed to have happened like yesterday or today.
He'd be back.
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any photos from today's practice if he's back today. But I don't think he's coming back on Friday and playing on Saturday. So I would suspect, maybe we'll find out some news today, but this is going to happen here one way or the other pretty soon. Nothing against Eric McAllister personally, but I think at this point you say thanks, man, but best of luck to you in your next endeavor. Now, the only thing is, unless he was basically booted off, we don't know for sure if he left on his own, Johnny. I want to throw this out there. There's a chance that Andy Avalos maybe had some influence in this and kind of saying, hey, man, I heard you're transferring at the end of the season. Just go now. I'm just throwing out scenarios, Johnny. What if he was basically pushed out the door by Andy, and now that Andy's gone, he wants to come back? I mean, this was portrayed one way. We don't know for sure if that's actually what happened, and I don't. I'm just saying, if that were the case and Andy had an issue with them and told him to leave, now that Andy's gone, maybe he comes back. But if this was Eric McAllister saying, I'm out of here, just because Andy Avalos leaves, I don't think he should be able to come back. But we'll see what happens. We'll get some news on that today, I would assume. If not, I don't think it's happening.
I think. Oh, look, and I'm pro EMAC coming back under this condition. If Eric McAllister would reach out to Jeremiah Dickey, to Spencer Danielson, and say, 100% of the reason I left was because of the head coach. I could not be in the same room with that man. My mental health was interrupted with that man. It was bringing down the other facet in my life. I could not be around this program anymore because of him. And now he's gone. Everything I love about being a Bronco is back on the table. I want to get back with my brothers. Mentally, I'm going to be in the right spot. even if I'm not even starting, I'm going to come in and you can put me at the bottom of the line in the room. I will work my way back up. I'm committed to this. The only reason I was out was because of the head coach. If in fact that's the case, I don't have a problem with Emac coming back. And I bet most of the guys on that locker room would say the same thing if that's the case. Now, I don't know necessarily that it was, though. I think the biggest reason Eric McAllister left, it was a business decision. People been in his DMs. He thinks he knows he's going to get a certain amount of money. And he said, look, if I shut it down right now, I know I'm guaranteed to get that opportunity. And that's
then what changed?
That's
then
what I think.
Then what changed? Then what changed? Why does he want to come back now? And the only way I would take him back is if he commits to staying next year too, Johnny. I'm not taking him for 2 weeks, then letting him transfer again after the season. Like I said, what I saw from Austin Bolt, what I saw from Prince Strawn, both those guys took advantage of their opportunity. I'm giving them those reps down the stretch. But if Eric McAllister said, I just couldn't deal with Avalos, and he is willing to commit to staying for next year, I would let Eric McAllister come back. But if it's a, hey, I want to play these last 2 games and try to win a championship now, and then I'm still gone, sorry, man. And it's nothing personal to Eric McAllister. I think the other guys deserve the opportunities at this point. But
and you would ask the leadership council, you ask the players, would you support him back? And if it's overwhelmingly yes, then I think you'll let him back. But BJ, I don't think he's coming back. He would have been in the building, you would have thought, right? He would have been at practice. And
today's the day. I think it's got to happen today. I don't think you're bringing him back next week for 1 game. He's got Bronco races. If it doesn't happen today, it won't happen. I agree. Kareem the Dream asking about getting him on for an interview. Yes, I have tried. He is not technically with the team right now, so he is eligible to be interviewed. I have reached out to him. We have communicated briefly the very first day, but once a lot of this stuff came out about NIL and all that and the money from TCU, I think maybe his folks kind of told him to shut it down, saying might not be smart for him to do the interview right now because he's either lying or he might say something that he shouldn't say. So we'll see. But Johnny, what do we got coming up on Idaho Sports Talk today?
Gonna have a fun one, man. It is a Wednesday. Got our college football hour, obviously, with what Boise State's doing, everything on those lines. Spencer Danielson. We're going to break this down. How can he keep this job? What are his strengths going to be? A lot of Coach Danielson talking. I know we got interviews down there. We'll get highlights on that. And ready for a little Battle of the Domes talk today. Another pretty big game going on in this state this week, BJ. So fired up to talk to my boy Mike Prater, JP, and get everybody in tune with Idaho Sports Talk. 3 p.m. today, BJ.
3 to 6. You can listen to Idaho Sports Talk, Prater in the ballgame, KTIK.com, the KTIK app. You can podcast it later on Apple iTunes podcast app. Just search KTIK, the ticket. And obviously you can listen live, 95.3 FM, 1350 AM, the ticket. That'll be 3 to 6 today. The interviews today, Johnny, are Kane Ione and Matt Miller. So we'll talk to Matt Miller and Kane Ione today. You guys will have that interviews on your show. We'll get the videos up on YouTube as well. And good stuff, man. Appreciate you as always, Johnny. Appreciate all of our commenters, all of our YouTube chats. With 220 people right now watching this, which is a crazy number for a random Wednesday at 9 a.m. So we're very appreciative of all you guys for watching the show. Subscribe on YouTube if you can. If you've got $50 and can give us a year subscription, we'd love to have that. And we'll enter you for all those prizes as well. Use that promo code BNN50 deal at the bottom of your screen. So we'll have you covered on the coaching search. I was still at a previous outlet, but we were the first to report Andy Avalos was being hired as head coach, and we're going to do our best again to keep you updated on this. Yeah, we were. Yeah, I was.
I'm just
kidding. I actually was. That was probably the biggest
scoop, huh?
Probably the biggest story of my career that I've broken. I broke that Andy Avalos was going to be Boise State's head coach. So
all right, well, you better work harder to break this.
I will do my best. The national guys get it a lot, the Pete Thamels of the world and all them, knowing the agents. So we'll see, though. But, we'll have you fully covered on the coaching search every step of the way. Boise State basketball this weekend as well. So appreciate you guys for checking us out. Go subscribe. Listen to Idaho Sports Talk at 3 o'clock, and we'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News Live, bronconationnews.com.
Happy birthday.